All right, well, we are back this morning with tropical depression Cristobal once again, still moving east, well, northeast now at northeast at 7 miles per hour, and it now has a minimal central pressure of 1,000 millibars, so that pressure is still rising, and it has max sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. Like yesterday's update, I'm not in my usual setup, so this is a little bit harder to record and stuff, but it's all good. But anyways, let's see the year's rainfall potential first. So as you can see, they're expecting very heavy rainfall, especially in Louisiana again with the system is spreading throughout Florida as well with those 2 inches to 4 inches in some areas, going up to even 6 inches in parts of Louisiana. Sorry about that. With the system and following the track of that system north, coming into Louisiana and even going up into those other U.S. states. We're gonna be seeing some rainfall, all over, even in the Panhandle, like I said, all the way down, even some in Cuba with that system. So it's gonna be a pretty big rainmaker with that. Now look at the flash flooding potential again. Agreeing very closely with what I was saying, we do have a slight risk in that Louisiana landfall area right here. Uh, and then we do have a minimal risk throughout Florida and into North Louisiana, Mississippi, etc. So we do have those flash flooding risk. If you're in those areas, you could be getting some potential flash flooding with this system. Now, in terms of tropical storm force winds probabilities, that center has moved now a lot north. That center is now probably around here by now, but it's expected to really start to cross over again and move north. We do have the best chances for tropical storms right here, but that's likely to become higher when we do get those winds. A 50 knot probability, out of the landfall area, again, we do have those slight probabilities. And we do not have any hurricane wind probabilities quite yet. But here's the latest track. We now have the tropical storm watches. Interestingly enough, on the very east side of that system, not quite sure why they're so far east. Um, Not quite sure why we don't have those watches around here as well, where the system's going to be going through. But anyways, believe it or not, we do have those watches all the way over there. Again, not quite sure why that is. But that system is going to be making landfall at 1 a.m. Monday. So again, that's going to be a night hurricane or tropical storm. And then it's really going to be moving due north for the next couple of days and bring very heavy conditions to parts of those central to north states as it really moves inland. The cone has gotten pretty small, so it looks like we're pretty to go for landfall. Louisiana, Mississippi, and very, very east Texas are still in the cone for some potential landfall there. Now, looking again at some tropical tidbits news, satellite imagery and stuff like that. It's blowing up, guys. It's absolutely blowing up with this storm. Look at that blow up in those last few frames with this. We'll wait for it to load, but it's been really blowing up. Okay, let me just pause it, but it's been absolutely blowing up. So see, we already had that big blow up. So all the way, on that side of the system. So I guess I could agree why they did put those watches on the really east side because they think that will be moving more that way. But the center is going to be much more to the west of that, probably around here. But that's pretty interesting, anyways. So we did get those convection did continue really to rise with those whites and you do see those whites and purple or pink all the way across that system, even getting into the Caribbean now. So that's pretty interesting to see, to say the least. But it's still getting lots of convection. It has slowed down a little bit, but nevertheless, it's still having lots of convection. Really slowed down though, and it looks like it's like maybe potentially moving into the Caribbean Sea. Kind of surprising, but like the biggest convection is now moving in the Caribbean. So I wonder if potentially the system is like moving into the Caribbean, since it's been moving northeast. I'm not too sure where the center is because it's really just a big blob of, tropical storm. So I'm not quite sure where that center of the system is. But looking at this, I mean, I guess it's like, according to where it's located, I guess it's around like here. So it's pretty interesting to see that it really just has this really big area of convection just to the north of that. But models are now went completely down. None of them expecting hurricane strength anymore, and lots of them staying at a 50 or even just 40 mile per hour peak with this at landfall. So that's again pretty interesting to see. Most models, though, do agree with that path. I do want to check one more thing really quick because I don't think the landfall. I think they're still agreeing with that 60 mile per hour landfall, I believe, but I could be wrong. So that's what I'm going to be checking that out. Let's see here. Okay, so they're not going with a 50 mile per hour landfall, but it's going to be peaking at 60 mile. Yep. So we're going to be getting it peak at 60 mile per hour with this system. So that's pretty interesting to see. But now I do want to look at some of the models. We do have no recon yet, but that will probably come soon. But looking at some of the models, it's quiet. Do we not have models anymore? Oh, there we go. Looking at some of the models, pretty interesting to see. But they're starting to maybe move towards a Hurricane Cat 1 landfall again. Now, I do like to look at the GFS a lot, and the GFS is now showing a 990, 989 landfall, and it's showing a peak at 988. So that is pretty interesting. But now the problem again with the system, as you can see, it doesn't have a tight, I guess, like a tight circulation. It does spread out rather big, and it's gonna be a little bit a broad area. But the problem right now is that we're gonna get this entire area of dry air because of this drought, I think you call it. It's gonna be coming in that way. And on the back of those types of system, we always have those dry air coming. And now that dry air is going to be trying to loop into the storm, in the center of the storm, which is really going to be slowing the system down, which is why some models do not bring it to that category 1 anymore. I'm going to try to find, I think it's like in moisture. That might be it. See, you do see that dry air trying to wrap around with this. See right here, this isn't the one I wanted, but you do see that dry air kind of trying to wrap around, which is why we're going to be seeing a kind of this kinds of structures, which is maybe even subtropical with this system. We're going to be seeing a very like broad area of low pressure. It's not going to be very organized with this. With the system, it's going to be a not very organized system, which is why some do think this won't be really. This might not be that strong of a system because you do see that very strong area. I'm just going to go with the GFS for this, but you do see that very strong area of dry air coming in, and but on the east side of it, you see that humidity coming all the way north, and this is why we're going to get most of the rainfall on the east, and the west side very low rainfall. But see, right before landfall at 988 millibars, you see that dry air may be trying to wrap around with this, which is why we do think that could be a potential. And then at landfall, it does really get its act together. But you do see that dry air kind of trying to wrap around with this system. So we do have that possibility still. Now I'm going to look at the landfall really quick. So 997. So GFS showing a Cat 1. ZMC is showing a category or a tropical storm again with that dry air trying to loop around with that system. So we're just gonna have to see if that does happen or not with that dry air really just trying to loop around. It may not happen, but it may happen. So we're just gonna have to see if that ends up happening or not. There's still some chances it will happen, but yeah. So tropical storm system. The icon, I think it shows a Cat 1 now. No, it still shows a strong tropical storm. So most models do show that tropical storm landfall. NavGem's going with a Cat 1, like the GFS. Now the European model, though, it does go again. We do see it's not very tightened up. We do see a little bit of a weak storm, but if we do go to millibars and winds, we do see they're going for a 993 landfall. So that could happen. Now, something I do want to talk about is the possibility, because most models, they either bring it really east of the Yucatan or they bring it all the way west, and that's going to be a big player. Either right now, I think the west one's going to be what's going to be happening, because you do see that convection starting to move in the Caribbean. But we're really split between the two models. Some of them bringing it to the east, and some of them kind of turning it to the west like that. So that's really what's going to play a big part. And of course, how fast it's going to be coming in with that high pressure system up there, which is could be steering down. And it's really going to be pushing also the high pressure system. It's going to try to push that system to the right a little bit. But that's just going to depend how fast or slow that system does come in. But this is the latest news, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. But it's just really going to depend how fast that system does come in and how strong it will be. But right now, it does look like it's going to be taking that west side with this. And it does look like it's going to really take a west turn instead of a right turn. I mean, it already has made its turn a little bit more to the west right now, so it does look, or the east, so it does look like the central, it's going to be moving that way instead of this way, like previously expected.